The Six Nations is upon us this weekend. Warren Gatland, of all people, is standing between Ireland and glory. That's not true. Johnny Sexton says we're not playing Warren Gatland. But we are, certainly at some kind of emotional, visceral level, we are playing Warren Gatland's Wales. Alison Miller is with us to help preview the game. Alison, good morning to you.
How are you? How's things?
Excited about this. Whatever about the World Cup, which we know is looming large on the horizon, this is an opportunity for us to just see how well we're playing, and that's the main thing, right? Just keep playing well, folks, because traditionally, in a World Cup year, this would be around where the time where the train goes off the tracks and the wheels come off, and we're like, oh Jesus, it's going to happen again. So how are you feeling?
Yeah, it seems like it was only Christmas and then January's a blur and the Six Nations is upon us. I think that happens every year. It just comes on us so quick. So yeah, I think the thing about the Six Nations is it starts early and then you're into it, and I think momentum and getting a good start is really important. And this game to Wales, it's going to be a tough game because in the Millennium Stadium, going to Wales is a tough place, but I think it's an opportunity for us to play more rugby and gain more confidence and try and keep that form up that we've showed.
One of the things about the form is really interesting is that I think Cian Tracy made this point on or maybe it was making the point that in November there wasn't a massive sign of progress from the summer. It was kind of maintaining, and that's a good thing because there's still room for growth. Like we didn't blow Australia out of the water at all. We didn't blow South Africa out of the water, nor would you expect us to. But we're kind of at a level, and it'd be great for us to show progress. Where are the parts of our game that there is room for us to show progress?
That's a good question. I suppose we remain consistent, and I think if we can just up our performance in what areas, good question. We really have to sit down and watch it, but I think, like with the back three there, that's particularly dangerous. They're starting to gel really well together. You've got Hanson, Ewan Keenan and James Lowe. Particularly, they're very difficult threats. And I think if we can get the balls a little more, and we've obviously seen the ball, we've been becoming more expansive. So I think there's opportunities for that. I think our set piece. I just think in general around the game, I think if we don't it's not looking for massive changes in any particular area, but if we can improve every area at the game, I think those small little 1%ers in a game at rugby at that level, I think it'll make a huge difference. So it's not necessarily any one thing. I think it's just trying to improve every small thing that we do on the pitch in all those areas. Be that our backline attack, be that our forward play, line out scrum, set piece, transition from defence to attack. All those areas, I think just 1%ers, especially the consistency that we've showed, and that if we build on that, I think it will make a massive difference.
There's motivation too, Alison. Like you mentioned Hugo Keenan there, and I was interested to listen to him during the week, and he was talking about the fact that he hasn't won a Six Nations. You think about the World Cup and elements of shadowboxing or whatever for later in the year, but a lot of these players want to win a Six Nations Grand Slam.
Yeah, and I think if you could do that in the Six Nations, it would build huge confidence. Obviously, those players have that motivation if they want to win it. They've never won it. Some players obviously have, and I think for those players, if they could do that, regardless of the World Cup, that's obviously the important thing this year. To win a Grand Slam or a Six Nations would be a huge achievement. So, yeah, that's something that they'll be looking at. And I think it's the talk whether we experiment or try and win the Six Nations, but I think you could probably do both if we were being smart about it. If we look at someone the 12 position at the weekend is probably going to be the one that's the most, when we see in team selection who they're gone for, they've gone for McCloskey, Aki or Osborne, and whoever they go with. But potentially if you were to take a risk on someone, not a risk, but give someone that's uncapped a game like Osborne, you're putting him in there essentially with a lot of experience. He's outside Sexton and Ringrose, who are highly experienced, and he also plays with them at Leinster. So that's a hugely experienced team, but you're also experimenting. But at the same time, with that level of experience, I would still expect the team to win and perform really well, even though one player is uncapped. That'll be my thinking on it. I know people think differently, but I think we're a good enough team that we could do that.
If you're to believe some of the the reports in the papers today, it would suggest that ahead of the team being in today, Stuart McCloskey is going to win that race to be played at outside centre.
Yeah, that's what the talk is at the moment. And look, it would be good to see him getting that opportunity, because he obviously played very well in 30 minutes in the first Autumn International, got the arm injury, and then kind of did push on. But obviously we saw what a good player he is. He's obviously so physical, we say that, his ability to offload, but also his distribution skills. Probably doesn't get enough credit for that. So it would be nice to see him starting in again, getting another opportunity. Like, if he's playing well and he's performing, which he obviously is in training, it would be good to see that rewarded. And like, it's good to see, we talk about form being rewarded. If that's the case, like, you want to see that. So yeah, that's all the talk on, I suppose, around the town at the moment.
It does, and sorry, in the papers today, both the Times and the Independent have their probable teams, and McCloskey's in both of them. So it'd be a big surprise if he doesn't end up getting selected. The one thing you'd say though is that if you play okay and you do your job, it's sometimes harder to get out of the team than it is to get into the team. You really need to be injured to get out of it. So that would put the pecking order and the depth chart very firmly. Number one is McCloskey for that position until Henshaw comes back. But it's him, and then he's ahead of both Aki and Osborne. And while one of them might get an opportunity off the bench, or one of them might not get an opportunity now until the Italy game, it's like it's going to be a long L Six Nations for you, kicking your heels 3rd/4th on that depth chart.
Yeah, like, it's interesting, like, you know, if you like that, if you don't start, and like, you know, nowadays obviously the bench, and depends what way you split, but like, it's hard to get on that bench, and if you don't get an opportunity, then yeah, it is a long Six Nations, and I suppose it's whatever way Farrell decides to go with the Six Nations. Is he going to really keep a settled team, which, you know, a settled team, get a good start, gain momentum, they're playing well, build confidence, build form going into a World Cup? It depends, but also, is he going to maybe try guys that are performing? I think he is a guy, Andy Farrell, that if he thinks that someone's ready and they're being playing well, I think he will play them. To what extent? Like, I think someone like Hugo Keenan is obviously nailed on, but I would like to see Jimmy O'Brien start at least one game in the Six Nations to look forward to that World Cup, and, you know, that every player can't play every game if we want to be contenders. So yeah, it's an interesting point, and I think obviously the 23 jersey this weekend will be an interesting one to me, to see who gets that spot. You've obviously got like Larmour and Stockdale in the wings, you've got, you know, Aki, and you've got who else am I missing? You know, like, it's just it's an interesting one to see, like, who gets that position, because Aki, Osborne, O'Brien, Larmour and Stockdale, like, so what kind of risks is he willing to take, Andy Farrell? Because sometimes you got to take risks to get a high reward. So but he'll know like how things are going in training, what he needs for his team, and how to build consistency, you know, which creates confidence, which creates form, which will ultimately lead to the World Cup then.
The talk, certainly in the Irish Independent, is that he's leaning towards Ross Byrne to cover the out-half position. Like, if you're Andy Farrell, Alison, are you starting Johnny Sexton in all 5 of these games, or do you want to see the likes of Ross Byrne play 1 or 2 of the games?
The good old chat of this that goes around.
This has been going on for months, but now we're only a couple of days away.
I talk the other day, and they're kind of I'm in a room with censored lights, guys. This happened together last time. I have to do a quick run.
Bit of exercise in the morning sure doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
Maybe we should be doing that as well.
That'll make anyone in a workplace get moving. So yeah, like, I was listening to someone yesterday, and they were saying, like, oh, I think Johnny needs to keep playing because he needs to keep his form up. And I don't know if I necessarily agree with playing him in every single game. Like, he's so experienced, he builds a team around him. But like, it's interesting whatever way you approach it. Like obviously start this weekend, play this, like, probably, like, I think he should probably play the majority of the games, but managing him that the other guys are getting time, and certainly getting their start against Italy, because you're kind of, I suppose, if you're going down that approach, you're crossing your fingers and your toes, and you're just hoping that he gets to the World Cup and nothing happens. So that's kind of, you know, you're taking a gamble. But then if the other guys don't get any time and something potentially happened, then you're leaving yourself kind of in a vulnerable position. But that's the kind of conundrum we are in, because it's got to this stage, and there's no one as good as him, which is credit to Johnny. Like, that's a great thing to say. I think it's his 14 Six Nation campaign, and he's 37 or 38, whatever he is. But does he need to play all 5 games? Does he? I don't think so. I think he probably needs to blend it in, that he gets enough game time to develop whatever his form and that, but at the same time manage him because he's older, and also think of the greater good of the team and getting those, is it Ross Byrne or Crowley, some game time, because essentially you don't know how capable someone is till they put them in with, like, the guys are going to be playing around them and how they perform in pressurised situations, environments, and no better place in the Six Nations, playing those top quality teams, especially in the Six Nations when you've got like France who are playing really well, and we don't know what Borthwick's England are going to be like at all. They're an unknown entity. Like, at this stage, they probably don't have a style of play, or we don't know what structure they're going to take or anything, because it's so unknown after Eddie Jones.
Do you reckon, as someone who's been around Irish squads and provincial squads as well over the years, Alison, at Bundy Aki, there was internal disciplinary issues before Christmas. He's been linked to a move to Munster as well, so there have been off-pitch distractions for Bundy Aki. Do you think the likes of that are maybe playing into the fact that McCloskey gets the opportunity this weekend, that Andy Farrell sees some players as, I guess there's a lack of game time there as well, and that's a reward for McCloskey.
Yeah, I don't know what the issues obviously were in Connacht, and he obviously wasn't selected, but definitely, I think the more straightforward someone's life is and the easier it is, the player is going to perform better. And I think if a player then is performing well and playing, you want to pick them. But I think if there's issues and they're not playing and discipline issues, obviously it's going to, coach, managers are kind of human, and they're going to, I suppose, not even wonder about that, but that player's not putting themselves in the best scenario to play, and I suppose you don't want that player to be carrying around baggage, and I suppose it's only human nature, but it probably doesn't help Bundy Aki's case if that's been, what's the reason. And obviously the main thing is he hasn't played, and you need to be playing at this level week in, week out to build momentum. So that's the first thing. But obviously the second thing is, like, a player like that, well, why isn't he playing for Connacht? And it might maybe no fault of his own. I have no idea what's going on, but the more simple your life is as a player, and anyone would say that if you're going through maybe a harder time in your life for whatever reason, playing is a little bit harder because you've got more distractions and all that. So distractions don't help elite level sport in any sense, and any sports person will tell you that. So there's obviously some distraction there for whatever reason, and there's issues. So that could be potentially a reason,
2 quick things on that. They put him straight in the team against Australia after his 8-game ban ran out, and he rewarded them with an early try. And they also picked Jack Crowley in that game against Australia, which maybe we've kind of forgotten about because Ross Byrne comes off the bench and kicks the winner. I definitely would love to see an experimentation over the course of this, and it's clearly not going to happen because the team looks like Sexton's going to be starting. But I'd love to see Sexton on the bench for a big game, not the Italy game. I would too. And there's so many people that would disagree with us, but I think we're at the stage. Obviously, Johnny is so far ahead of the other 10s, but at the same time, we have such a good team and so many leaders around the field that I think we're in a good position as an Irish team to be good enough to be able to do that. That's what I think, and I think that should be your mentality. I think that should be your mentality as a team, and I presume that it would be the mentality of the guys that we are good enough that and put these guys in positions that they will be able to perform. And you'll often maybe doubt a player. You might think, they might not have it, and you put them into pressurised positions and they absolutely thrive on it, and they get a full 80 and they thrive. So I would agree with you. I'd like to see that. Loads of other people would have such a different opinion on it, but that would be my opinion. I don't think
looking forward to a World Cup.
Yeah, I don't think you're actually risking defeat by picking Jack Crowley or by picking Ross Byrne to start the game and having Sexton there for the last half an hour or 25 minutes. And it's not a reflection on Sexton's form or a suggestion that you're not our number one guy. You're still we know that, but forward planning and just how easy it is for teams to target the 10. Off every scrum, the blindside flanker, his job is to crush the out half as soon as he gets the ball. Off every ruck, crush the out half. Like, we know Sexton's going to get absolutely targeted because they keep telling us. France have been targeting him in every Six Nations. They've got him late. Every single one, he gets tackled late. And sometimes he survives it and sometimes he doesn't. But, like, you know, maybe we could, like, have him come off the bench.
I think we have a luxury that we have like a world class, stellar class player like Johnny. Like, he's so good, and like, that is amazing. But also in reality, he's at an age now where your body doesn't recover as quick. It's a attritional game. It's highly attritional. I know they obviously play 2 games, get a break, play a game, get another break, and then the last 2. But at the same time, I suppose any S&C will tell you, you're looking after those older guys a little bit more smart and stuff. So it's about being smart that we're we're looking after them, we're getting them in the best possible shape to World Cup while still playing him and being realistic. Obviously the other guys are not quite there yet, but at the same time, yeah, I'd like to see them play and give them an opportunity and give them enough time that when they get to a World Cup, we're not in the same position we were in 2019.
Yeah.
Coming in cold, essentially, like.
Yeah, and I mean, we should learn the lessons from history. I just want to put my hand up and say, if history matters. It's important sometimes that we should.
Yeah.
It's probably some things we could maybe do differently this time.
Yeah.
Are you surprised, Alison, at the Welsh selection in any way? I was kind of looking at it going, is this the 2012 Six Nations or is this the 2023?
Apart from the kid they picked in the centre, and they're like, if that was Ireland, that guy's never getting to play.
That's true.
Yeah, Gatland, I suppose, has gone for players that have, what's the word, delivered for him before, and that he knows what they can do. So it's interesting to see, like, depends on how those Welsh players, the older guys and the more experienced guys, we could call them, for Wales, how they deliver and how they play for Gatland, and how the younger players, they all merge together and what they can do. And, he does get results from his players, but it's the merging of that experience that he's picked and those younger guys. Can they come together and get a performance? He's an interesting character, Gatland. I think, he's obviously gone out there saying, we're taking a free shot. But I was actually interested in reading what Johnny said, and he made a good point. If they were taking a free shot, he probably would have gone for more so younger players. So I'd say he's going out there to get the win. But I still think the quality that we have, I think, regardless of the selection and the older heads that he's picked, I think we're good enough to perform and win. Even though it's going to be a tough game away, I still think we're good enough to do it. But yeah, it's interesting to see his selections and to see what he's done. And, he's dropped some people and left some people out and stuff like that. So yeah, it's interesting to see, will those players play, get up for Gatland, because they obviously probably have huge respect for him and they're used to working with him. They know what he's about. He knows what they're about, and there's a lot of loyalty and trust there.
Alison, good stuff. Enjoy the game. Thanks a million for joining us.
Oh, thanks, guys.